We extend a very warm welcome to all of you on Friday evening, 5 p.m. Friday, 5 p.m. is the most important because water management, water strategies, water consumption, water utility, water scarcity, water related anything you talk about. And today is somewhere we will talk about wastewater Bio-refinery. And today on 5th of March, we extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got with us Shri Anil MANOCHA ji, the Executive Director, Ion Exchange Asia Pacific Private Limited, and our Senior Advisor from Singapore. And we have got Dr. Yoga Lakshmi KN. She is from the Department of Environmental Sciences and Technology, Central University, which is located at Bathinda in Punjab. So we extend a very warm welcome to all of you. And those are joining us. I wish to share with all of you that this particular Friday evening, as we have got every evening, and I was talking with our senior advisor, MANOCHA ji, that people are looking forward to more and more creativity and innovation in this particular series. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICSI, International Chamber for Service Industry, we extend a very warm welcome to all of you to be part of our journey this evening over here. So let me move ahead. We believe in Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. That is something very important. The world is one family. We all are together wherever we are, irrespective of our continent, our countries, our time zone, our caste, creed, color. But India always believes that whole world is one family. It's a Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. And SDG goal number 6, when we talk about integrated with regard to the water management, we got to take on lot onto this. Jal Shakti Mantralaya is doing a lot of job. And over here, we were joined initially. The Honorable Minister had come, Minister of State, and thereafter we have been getting a lot of experts from time to time. Arushi Nishank Panji also joined. And water crisis is a deep crisis we all have to take care of. And I would request all of us to take it very seriously that at every place, irrespective our residence, our working place, our public places, our schools, colleges, universities, institution, everywhere we should think about how to save every drop of water. And now, as the world has just come out of one crisis, that is 2020, the pandemic, coronavirus, let's not head for any other difficulty in future. Water conservation is very, very important. Water saving is very, very important. In our schools, in our colleges, in our institution, it should be taught. And how serious is, the water management and water management strategies, you all can understand. There are a couple of national and international forthcoming conferences which are taking place. And today also, when we are talking to you right over here, there's a conference going on in Bangalore. There's a conference going on in Hyderabad, and both are on the water management. And then, of course, you have got at the end of this month, there's another water-related international conference, and that is in Odisha at Rourkela. And then in month of April and May, there are three major conferences in Denmark. And then on 4th of May, there's a water expo in Pune. And then, of course, World Environment Day, all of us, we remember 5th of June. That is also a deep concern to all of us. And there's going to be another conference in month of June, that is in Copenhagen at Denmark. Singapore International Water Week is there in month of June. And then international conferences, another one is coming up in Denmark at Copenhagen. And then in July end, that is 31st of July, 29th, 30th, and 31st of July, 3 days, you'll have a very big event coming up in Delhi, Water Expo. Thereafter, there's a program in Sri Lanka, then there's a program in Mumbai, and there's a program in Dhaka. We go right up to October. Now, all this water can be saved when we have a right education. And when we talk about right education, I'm not talking about only formal education, academics in schools, colleges. Rather, we are talking about holistic education. That means your family ecosystem also to be taken into consideration. You stay in institution for some time, but most of the time you're with your parents and you are in a different environment. So how do you basically conserve, preserve, take care of every drop of water? So youth empowerment, teachers empowerment, and education got to be relevant to my day-to-day life. And startups, entrepreneurships, MSME again is very important. Environment protection when we talk about organic farming, because organic plantation when we talk about, Sikkim has taken a lot of credit that now Sikkim is almost the entire Sikkim, it is on organic food. So that one has to understand how the things are. Your health and wellness is very important. There are sector skill councils what we have got related to your skills. Okay, there are almost about 4 to 5 webinars every day by us. We are organizing 28 webinars per week. And this week is very important because it's International Women Week. When we talk about International Women Week, we started on 1st. We will go till 8th. And we have got the entire week agenda right up to 8th of March. That is the observation of the International Women Day and International Women Week. This evening, tonight, we have got a very special program coming up at 8 p.m. because Shirshiri group of schools and colleges and university and institutions, they all are joining today. And we are having Dr. Madam Chanchala, who is taking care of this program. And tonight at 8 p.m., she would be coming with 13 speakers. And that program is going from our chamber at 8 p.m. tonight. Teacher and youth empowerment is very important, and the whole world is in new order. Everybody has understood that now we got to survive on the minimum. Your basic food, your basic health, and your basic education you have to take care of. And the world has to get to back to basics of life if we want to live peacefully. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's come together. Whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Let's make education meaningful. Let's make education relevant to all of us. And when we move in this journey, we are so fortunate. This evening, we have got Dr. Yoga Lakshmi KN. She's Departmental of Environmental Sciences and Technology, Central University of Punjab. She has about 11 years of teaching and research experience and has published around 35 papers in high impact factor journals. To her credit, she has around 35 lakh worth research projects from various funding agencies like Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences and UGC. She has developed a number of e-content modules for e-PG Pathshala in solid and hazardous waste management. She has also developed modules for the MOOC courses on solid and hazardous waste management is one of the popular course in SWAYAM. She has guided 5 PhDs, 7 PM, and 19 MSc students. She has been associated with Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Institute of Teacher and Teaching. It's a privilege that Shri Anil MANOCHA ji from Singapore, our senior advisor, is taking care of this particular series. Shri Anil MANOCHA ji is based out of Singapore and he's an experienced professional in water and waste management. He is executive director with Ion Exchange Asia Pacific, Singapore. He has also about 35 years of professional experience working in India, ASEAN, Middle East, Africa, and other parts of the world. He actively collaborates with stakeholders, teaching partners, government, financial institutions in offering practical solutions for water treatment, water conservation, wastewater treatment, zero liquid discharge. Anilji holds degree in mechanical engineering and is associated with various chambers, Singapore Water Management Association, and India Business Forum and trade organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in extending a very warm welcome to both the dignitaries, those are coming for our program and our show today. With these words, we extend them a very warm welcome, and I request Shri Anil Manocha ji to take on the series further. With these regards, hearty welcome to Madam Dr. Yoga Lakshmi ji also and Anil Manocha ji. Kindly take on, sir.
Yes. Good evening, friends. Today we will continue our journey on subjects we have been talking so far on water. We Today we are holding our 20th webinar, and just a snapshot of what we have done so far before I request Dr. Yoga Lakshmi to take over. Uh, if you look at the journey so far, we have conducted close to 20th webinars, and we have discussed topic related to water availability. In water availability, we talked about surface water, sea water, glaciers, underground water, rivers, and we also talked about how there is a stress on availability of water because of consumption and other issues. We talked about the subject of water uses, domestic, industrial, and agriculture, and we also learned that the total water available on this earth, only 1% water is locked in rivers and underground sources, and which is generally used for domestic, industrial, and agriculture purposes. And agriculture is a major consumer of water, which consumes something close to 70 to 80% of water. We also talked about the subjects related to emerging sources to supplement the freshwater resources. We talked about the subjects how seawater can be converted into potable water, how the other waters, recycled water, can be used. We touched upon the subjects of water contaminations in rivers, canals, ponds, water bodies. We talked about industrial pollution, and from industrial pollution, what we realized that we hardly use 15% or 1% of fresh water which is available. But if there is industrial pollution, it contaminates 100% of the water which is there in rivers and underground. So how important it is to ensure that we minimize the industrial pollution or agriculture waste or untreated sewage discharge. We also talked about the industrial water standards, WHO standards, treatment concept technologies, how we can recharge the water bodies, and we touched upon the subjects related to agriculture sector, how and what type of technologies are emerging in agriculture sector to ensure that the efficiency of water is increased in agri sector. We talked about food processing options, and we have been hearing our prime minister that next target will be how do we process foods and how do we avoid wastage of foods from the crops. We also touched upon the subjects of water as a mode of transport. Also, we all the participants were exposed to the water crisis in Cape Town, South Africa, and what happened when they faced the crisis of zero water and what steps they took in overcoming this situation. We also talked about Singapore water story in past, and the important take from these two stories was that in case we have to solve the issues related to water, we have to involve all the aspects because water is a part of life. We have to involve the subject of social, we have to involve the subjects of human behavior, we have to involve the subject of technology and all those things. We also talked about the home water systems. We talked about the water management concepts of circular economy, urban water management. Also, we took a session on career opportunities in water sector and water education sector. This is a part list of international and national speakers who got associated with us in the last 20 webinars. And you will see that all these speakers were experts in their respective fields, and they brought a cumulative experience of over 250 years in the water industry. These are the subjects we have covered, and what we have done is we have given you the, if you go to GST Motivator website, These are webinar numbers which are provided here, and the subjects. On various subjects we talked, like we talked on ecology, we talked about food processing, and all those subjects, and the webinar numbers are given. What is marked here red is something which will further down relate to today's topic, because we have talked about the food processing, water for food industry, water quality targets for pollution, groundwater contamination, changing landscape in education sector. Uh, Also, these are the links of various seminars we had so far. Now, before few thoughts before we go to subject of today. As we know that water is a renewable resource, means what? We use water, but we don't consume it. Whenever we use the water, we convert one form of water to another form. Maybe we convert good water to bad water. Maybe we convert liquid water to steam. Maybe we convert ice to liquid. So we don't consume, we use. And when we use means when we bring it to another form, it brings another subject, that by properly managing the water, we can overcome the crisis. Now, when we say properly managing the water, means we have to look at the demand side, we have to look at the supply side. We have to ensure that we relate water to our lives, we respect water, and we bring the concept of reuse, reduce, and recycle. We also have spoken about food, water, energy nexus, and that is probably today Dr. Yoga Lakshmi will speak how water is a important medium for food and energy security. And if we look at the way we are growing, and if I stay focused towards India, we are $1.7 trillion economy, which is going to become $5 trillion economy. And one of the recipe for growth is energy. And when you look at energy, we talked about various type of energy resources. We talked about fossil fuel, which brings into climate change aspects, and we talked about renewable resources, which with a green energy concepts, low carbon dioxide emissions, and all those things. And we also know that we need petrol for a movement, and government has come out with a policy of mixing ethanol. Ethanol is a biofuel which is mixed with petrol and diesel, so that we can reduce the carbon footprint and we can save foreign exchange for the country. Uh, there is a lot of development which is taking place in bioethanol and biodiesel, and we will know that India is producing three grades of biofuels. One type of biofuel, the source is sugarcane and maize, which is edible source. Second type of biofuel is produced from non-edible source like jatropha seeds and other things. And third type of biofuel is produced from industrial waste. And so we generate biofuels from these three different type of sources. And most important is that if we can produce the biofuels from the sources which are waste, is ideal for us. And then when we do this activity, we face challenges in managing the waste. And today, probably we will hear from Dr. Yoga Lakshmi how the wastewater management is taken in a refinery, in a biofuel. With this small introduction, I will request Yoga Lakshmi, Dr. Yoga Lakshmi, to take over and give his thoughts to us. Over to you, Dr. Yoga Lakshmi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. At this outset, I would like to thank Dr. Gulshan Sharma and for inviting me, and Mr. Anil MANOCHA for elaborating. Like he has given a very good introduction, like what I'll be talking about. He very well connected water and the topic which I'm going to talk about today. Thank you so much. And once again, I'll thank Dr. Gulshan Sharma and ICSI for inviting me to deliver a talk for today's session. So before that, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible, sir?
It's visible, visible.
Okay. Yeah. So, for since 23rd October, you've been talking about water, different aspects of water. As Sir had said, water is something which is very, very important, and we are facing a lot of crisis. So water is available, but that is being wasted. Sir has rightly said, like water, it's not consumed; it is just wasted. So even like starting from everyday activities, if you see, the water availability or water which is actually consumed is very, very less, and what is being wasted is more. Every day, like there are a lot many examples where you can it begins from the day-to-day activities, from brushing. Some people have a habit of keeping the tap open, then having shower for a long time, wasting every individual activity. Even in offices, if you see, some pipes will always keep leaking. Even a small drop is becoming important nowadays. So it's our prime responsibility that we save water, and we have to do something. And rightly, Dr. Gulshan Sharma has already pointed out like how India is focusing on minimizing these wastages, and how water like Jal Shakti, you have Abhiyan, and then a lot of things have been done. So I will talk about a different aspect of water. Whatever water that we are wasting, it just converted into wastewater. So now this wastewater, there's a paradigm shift. Now wastewater is no longer thought of as a wastewater. Now it is being thought of as a resource. So that is what I would be talking for the next half an hour or 45 minutes or so. So what is wastewater? Let's talk about that, and then we'll discuss like what is biorefinery, what are the technologies that are available, and how it is being done, and what is the progress in India and all. So wastewater, whatever that is, we use, like in general wastewater, people talk about sewage, but it is not only sewage. Whatever excess water which is not used potentially, that is also released as wastewater. So if you see globally, the annual generation of wastewater is around 450 kilometer cube per annum. And if you talk about India, alone generates around 61,754 mld of sewage every day, and around 501 mld of industrial effluent. Now, in this, the stormwater in India, the stormwater channels are not properly established, because again there is a lot of water. The rainwater harvesting systems are not proper, and as a result, what happens? Lot of waste. The rainwater is also converted into the urban runoffs, you can say, or the stormwater runoff, you can say, which ultimately ends up in the sewage channels, and ends up in a sewage treatment plant, or you can call it as a municipal wastewater treatment plant. So, as I told you, about 61,754 mld of sewage is generated every year, every day. Now, out of this, only 63% of sewage is treated, and rest all is let out or discharged into a water body. This statistics is about the Indian scenario. Now, the discharge of this untreated sewage into the municipal sewers or this industrial effluent, they are contributors of water pollution. On one side, we are using excess water. We are consuming more water. Water is getting wasted. On the other side, we are not doing proper treatment for the wastewater, and that is again ending up in water bodies. And this, the organic content or the nutrient content which is there in the wastewater, is when it ends up in a water body, what happens is it results to the addition of nutrients, and as a result, you can find a lot of algal growth or the water plants growth. Nowadays, you cannot see any water body, be it a pond or a lake, without this luxurious growth of plants, which is generally termed as eutrophication. Now, this has generally caused, not only affected the health of the environment, but in general, these pollutants are being consumed daily by us, and this also has resulted in the health hazards. So now the second aspect which I'm going to talk about is biorefinery. Before talking about wastewater biorefinery, we should understand what is actually biorefinery. Now, biorefinery is one thing, it's a concept which integrates like the biomass conversion process into other products, value added products, like it can be fuel, like any sort of fuel, like as I said, like it can be bioethanol or any form of biogas, biodiesel. and the other value-added chemicals and biomass. For example, if you see on the right side, you can see a flow chart which says like what are other different products that can be produced from this crop residues. Again, I am sitting in a place, Punjab, where we have a lot of crop residue problem. And these crop residues, once the harvest is being made, it is just let off. From that also, you can arrive at a lot of products. Some examples are given on this flow chart, like whatever crop residues which is there as a feedstock, they can again be converted through all these platforms, be it a biochemical platform or a thermochemical platform, or by using any microorganisms, it can be converted into any form of chemicals, fuel, and other value-added products. So again, biorefinery concept, it's actually utilizing, I mean, it's producing several products by using these biomass and various intermediates, and somewhere or the other to maximize its value derived from the biomass feedstock. Now, this concept actually, if you talk about the petroleum industries, where different products are produced from the petroleum industry, from there only this concept has originated. Now, in recent times, this concept has been applied to wastewater also, where wastewater is again thought of as a wealth where you can recover fuels and also other value-added products, some chemicals also. Now, wastewater biorefinery. So before starting this, so as sir said, like there are two concepts. One is water being wasted that ends up in a wastewater treatment plant, and this wastewater treatment plant, it is treating the wastewater that is generated. Now, to run this wastewater treatment plant, you need energy. On the other side, if you see, the energy crisis are also we are continuously facing. So energy crisis on one side, wastewater being generated on the other side, and another major problem you can also relate it to climate change, because during the wastewater treatment, a lot of the greenhouse gases are also emitted from different treatment processes. And when, in terms of energy, if you see, for generating energy, we burn fossil fuels, and that is also releasing a lot of greenhouse gases. So everywhere, every aspect of this is generating a lot of pollution, and it's affecting the environment to a greater level. So this wastewater biorefinery concept can minimize all these three facets, I can say, of the environment. Like it can look into the wastewater treatment, it can give a water which is fit for use on one side, and then it can convert all the organic carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and other nutrients into one or the other value-added products. Fuels can be generated, and also we can minimize the greenhouse gas emissions. So wastewater biorefinery can bridge a gap between the concept of biorefinery and wastewater treatment. So it will, as I mentioned earlier, it will generate products which would be economically viable and enhance the resource productivity, and it will also produce a water from the wastewater up to a acceptable quality level. Now, the focus of this wastewater biorefinery is not only giving the, just treating the water, but also recovering the resources from the wastewater. Somewhere it is like a closed loop system, and you can also say it is a sort of circular bioeconomy. Now, wastewater, I have been telling since the beginning of my lecture, I said like wastewater can be thought of as a wealth. It's being looked into as a resource, and I told you there's a paradigm shift. So if you, if it is said like portrayed as a story, earlier when these wastewater treatment plants were established, the focus was only on organic removal. Then with the problem of these eutrophication, then the scientists thought of like it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient only if you remove organic. It is very essential that you have to remove the nutrients too. Now, the nutrient once the nutrient technologies have emerged, now the focus is on emerging pollutants. On the other aspect, it is also thought of as a resource. Now, wastewater is organically rich, and it contains around 37,052 tons of COD. COD is nothing but the organic constituent which can be potentially converted into any form of energy or any other value-added product. So the focus of the wastewater treatment plant, as I told you, it is not only the treating and then discharging, but because it is going to affect the human and the environmental health. So many countries, just to focus on the environmental sustainability, they have converted this wastewater treatment plants as a resource or as a biorefinery. So many countries are currently working to attain this sustainability, and they have converted many of the sewage treatment plant into a resource plant. No, I'm not sure like people are aware of this wastewater treatment plant. So just I'll outline what is a wastewater treatment plant and from where this, which process or what that is generated can be converted into an energy. So I'll be focusing only on the energy aspect. Not I'll just mention like what chemicals can be or biochemicals can be produced. But my lecture would be mainly focusing on the fuel generation aspects and what technologies can be potentially used for recovering energy from wastewater treatment plants. So just to outline like what is a wastewater treatment plant. So the wastewater that is generated from different households are carried through a sewer network and it is brought into a common pumping station from where it is pumped to the treatment process. So a wastewater treatment plant or a sewage treatment plant, if you see, you can divide it into three phases. One is the primary treatment, followed by the secondary treatment, and the third would be the tertiary treatment. In primary treatment, focuses only on the physical separation, where the floatables like the plastics or any other big logs or twigs, they are all removed by the screen chamber. In the screen chamber, followed by the grit chamber, where a small, where the grit or the small stone or grit material silt, they are all removed in the grit chamber. And once the grit is removed, it is then transferred into the third chamber, the primary clarifier, where the solid materials which comes in the wastewater is removed just by simple settling. It is allowed to settle for almost 2 hours, and the solids are settled. The clarified effluent is then moved into the second phase of treatment process, that is the secondary treatment, which the conventional treatment process, if you talk about it, is activated sludge process, where the classical example is an activated sludge process, which is a combination of an aeration tank, which is nothing but a bioreactor, and a secondary clarifier. Now, here in the aeration tank, the wastewater or the clarified effluent from the primary clarifier is subjected to a mass of microorganisms. And now this microorganisms will start consuming the wastewater, and that will result in the mineralization of the organic component as well as the production of more bacteria and biomass. Now, after this aeration tank, where oxygen and then microorganisms are provided, the treated water then, after being retained for a period of around 8 to 12 hours, it is then transferred into a secondary clarifier, where again settling is done for the biomass to settle, and the clarified effluent is again transferred to the tertiary treatment, where it is just a polishing step, where you can apply chlorination for disinfection and any other filtration process to remove any trace organic pollutants which are there. Now, after this treatment, the water is either discharged, or there are also water reuse is being done. According to the requirement, more levels of treatment is provided. Now, in different phases, if you see, there are, I told you in a primary clarifier, the solids are settled, and in secondary clarifier, the waste activated sludge or the biomass that is produced in the aeration tank is settled. Now, this sludge, which is there, the primary sludge or the waste activated sludge, it is collected from these clarifier, and it is brought to a common unit called as the anaerobic digesters. Now, anaerobic digesters are just similar to a biogas plant. I'm sure everybody would be aware of biogas plant. Same way, like anaerobic digesters work in the same principle. Now, here in the anaerobic digesters, the sludge, the solids and the sludge, they are brought and then they are added into the anaerobic digesters. They are retained there, they are treated, and then this anaerobic digesters, they start generating gases, mainly the methane or carbon dioxide and other trace gases like ammonia, H2S, and so on. Now, here the gas is generated. Earlier, the wastewater treatment plant actually didn't have these anaerobic digesters. The sludge that was collected was simply dried and then sold off to the farmers for the fertilizer applications. But, I'm sorry, excuse me. But this sludge, since it has a lot of microorganisms like pathogens, and slowly it also had a lot of heavy metals and some organic pollutants, it was not allowed to use by the farmers, or just simple drying, or then using land application was not allowed. So after that, all the conventional treatment process started installing these anaerobic digesters, and then even after anaerobic digesters, also the gas was not collected; they was just let out or released into the atmosphere. Later, with time, these anaerobic digesters were potentially considered as a source, and from this, the gas that was generated was used as a resource. And then this gas that is generated was collected, and then either it is sold as a source of energy. There are some treatment plants which are converting this gas into electricity, and this electricity is used to offset the electricity consumption which is used for running this plant. So there are many treatment plants which is successfully offsetting the electricity consumption from the government, and they are using their own electricity. I would not say that the gases that are generated can run the treatment plant, but still, uh, at least it offsets to a certain extent the electricity consumption that is being obtained from the government side. And at some places, the government is also providing subsidy to such plants where which is being which is offsetting the electricity charges which are consumed, and they are trying to do it. So in later slides, I would also be talking about some technologies which are developed to be a self-sustainable technologies, which are designed in such a way that the electricity is generated and it can be used to run the system, the technology. We'll discuss about that in later. So this anaerobic digesters, they convert. I mean, the gas is released, and once the digest state after the gas release is done, they are brought, and then either they are dewatered and or they are incinerated and disposed of, or sometimes they also do land application, but depending upon the heavy metal concentration or other organic pollution concentration, the nature of disposal varies. Now, if you look at the source of energy in wastewater, so if you talk about wastewater treatment plants, here the source of energy can be looked into two different aspects. The wastewater itself will act as a source of energy, and the second one is the sludge or the biomass that is generated from the wastewater treatment plant. That is the primary sludge, which is generally the solids which is there in the wastewater, and the sludge. The waste activated sludge is the biomass, the bacterial activity. When they consume, they'll start producing biomass. So that is called as the waste activated sludge. They also act as a source of energy. Now, if you look into this, almost 35 to 55% organic richness is there in the sludge, and it also contains the nitrogen and then phosphorus and potassium, along with some heavy metals. So if you look into the calorific or the heating value that is available, it is around 12,000 to 15,000 kilojoules, which is available, which can be potentially converted into the energy. So coming to the technology which is available for converting this energy, I told you anaerobic digesters. They are one of the I would say it's a classical example. Many other technologies are coming up based on this anaerobic digestion concept. So let's look into like what is anaerobic digestion and what is the process that occurs inside. And I'll talk about not into deep into the technicality, little bit of digesters, how does it work, and then I'll talk about that. So talking about the anaerobic digestion, anaerobic obviously it is done in the absence of oxygen, where the organic matter present in the sludge, they are degraded by the action of microorganisms in the absence of oxygen. Now here the end product that is produced is biogas, and you also obtain nutrient-rich digestate or slurry, which is again having a lot of nutritive value, and and it can be used as a uh, fertilizer or manure or like that. Now, the anaerobic digestion, during the process of anaerobic digestion, it follows four basic steps. One is hydrolysis, followed by the acidogenesis, and methanogenesis. Now, this flow chart will clearly explain like what are the different phases. So the sludge, which is having a complex biopolymers like the proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids, they are broken down into simple substances and through hydrolysis process, and it is converted into simple sugars, amino acids, peptides, and fatty acids. Now, there's a in the conversion of the complex polymers into simple polymers, you have a specific group of bacteria, the hydrolytic bacteria, which breaks down. And once the simple monomers or oligomers are formed, the acetogenic bacteria act on them and they convert into propionates and butyrates, which are nothing but short chain volatile fatty acids. Now, this again, here the acetogens act during the acetogenic phase, and then they convert this into the hydrogen and carbon dioxide and acetates. Now, these acetates are further consumed by the methanogenic bacteria and it's converted into methane. Even here, the hydrogen is also converted into methane. So here again, I would like to add a point here. If our purpose is to stop with hydrogen, so then you can use some methanogenic inhibitor and then you can kill these methanogenic bacteria so that methane will not be produced. Though methane is also a gas, but it is also termed as a greenhouse gas with a global warming potential. So if hydrogen being a clean gas and with a high energy yield, here we can play with the microorganisms and you can stop it and then you can generate hydrogen. So looking into the composition of biogas that is generated, again, the biogas that is generated, it has a calorific value of around 18,000 to 26,000 kilojoules per meter cube. And if you look into the composition, the methane ranges between 55 to 75%, carbon dioxide is around 25 to 45%, followed by water to 7%, and other trace gases, as I told you, like hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, nitrogen, hydrogen, and so on. So biogas is also generally called as methane gas, like very similar to a biogas plant, and you can convert this into you can bring this into a natural gas standard fuel. So this is one how I mean. This is how an anaerobic digester looks like. You can see like you have different zones. Mixing is provided like general anaerobic digesters. They don't have these mixers. You can see that stirrer there. That is not there. But still, if you want to accelerate or fasten up the rate of gas production, stirrers can be added so that it will enhance the circulation and faster biogas generation will be there. These are some of the technicalities which we generally play to fasten up the process of biogas generation. So this is how a biogas digester looks like. The waste is added. I mean, the waste sludge is added. It is again, it is subjected to a mass of microorganisms. These microorganisms are slow growers. They act on these substrate and then they slowly convert it into biogas, and the gas is collected on top of this reactor and slowly it can be removed whenever taken and then used for other purpose. So operating condition, again, the favorable pH is 6.5 to 8 and temperature is like it works both in mesophilic as well as thermophilic conditions, temperature conditions, and 20 to 35 days are required for conversion of this biomass into biogas. And basically 3 steps are involved. One, it's a liquefaction of solids, then the digestion of soluble solids, and followed by the gas production. Yes. Now this anaerobic digestion process, though it is generating a lot of gas, still it has a lot of limitation. One, they are they show a very low organic degradation rate, only 30 to 50%, and they have longer retention time for a mass or a batch of sludge to produce biogas. It takes around 20 to 30 days, and the digester volume is also very large. And also the installation or the capital cost is very high. So to avoid this limitation in other terms, apart from these technicalities of longer retention time or large digester volume, the first point is very, very important. It shows though it is generating gas, still the complete potential of the sludge, it's not obtained from this anaerobic digestion. The reason for this is the sludge that is produced from this wastewater treatment plant, they are highly complex because the solids are okay, but the sludge that is waste activity that is produced by the action of microorganisms, they are very complex because these microorganisms, they secrete a lot of enzymes, and these enzymes, they form thick gel-like matrix in which the solids and the microorganisms are entangled, I would say. Now, this flock structure, in an anaerobic digestion process, when it is added, the microorganisms, they find it difficult to break this flock matrix and enter into and then eat up the substrate and release gas. So this is one of the biggest limitations why only 30 to 50% of the potential of the sludge is being obtained, and the rest, the organic constant which is locked, it's not used potentially. So this somehow it limits the rate of the reaction, especially the hydrolysis step. So some sort of pre-treatment can be applied. There are a lot of research that is going on to apply certain pre-treatment method, break this flock, and then expose the organic content which is locked in the flock, so that better gas yields can be obtained. Again, if you ask me, pre-treatment methods are more like you can apply a mechanical pre-treatment, you can go for thermal pre-treatment, under mechanical ultrasonication, then microwave. So there are many methods are available. Then even some chemical treatment methods, pre-treatment methods are used, like acids, alkalis, surfactants. There are many methods are used. And even biological methods are used, like where enzymes and microorganisms, like some bacteria having the potential to break these blocks, are used. But of course, when you compare it with other treatment processes, like the mechanical treatment or thermal treatment, or the mechanical treatment, thermal treatment, or chemical treatment, biological treatment are comparatively slow. But it does not produce any other harmful effects, like any if acids or alkalis are used. Again, secondary pollution problems are there, but that is not there. But still, biological pre-treatments are very slow, and it is limited. Yes. So till here, we have talked about how anaerobic digestion, it's a process where a biogas can be generated, which can be used as a part of biorefinery to generate fuel, like the biogas. Or you can stop, as I told you, you can stop and you can produce, you can kill the methanogenic bacteria and then you can start producing hydrogen. Of course, there are other cofactors which play a role, which has to be controlled and then done here. So this is one technology where the waste sludge or the solids that is generated from wastewater can be used in this technology and converted into the form of biogas. Now, the other technologies which are used directly, which I was talking about, like to obtain energy from the wastewater, that is, I have outlined here three different technologies. One is Upflow anaerobic sludge blanket reactor, the anaerobic baffle reactor, and MFC or MEC, the microbial fuel cells, microbial electrolysis cells. Now, UASB or the Upflow anaerobic sludge blanket reactor is also an anaerobic reactor which is used for obtaining energy from the wastewater. So this again, it is a conventional classical example for treating wastewater by anaerobic means, and this is done in one single tank. I'll show you the image, then maybe you'll understand. So here the wastewater is let into the USB reactor at the bottom of the tank, and here you have a thick blanket of microorganisms which are there, and the wastewater, when it is sent as influent at the bottom of this tank, it slowly moves in the upward direction. As and when it crosses the sludge blanket, which is containing the mass of microorganisms, the microorganisms comes in contact with the substrate. They start taking up the substrate, they start mineralizing, and then convert it into gases. Now, these gas, again, it's methane and carbon dioxide, when they move through the sludge blanket, they carry small, solids in them. So to just drop the solids and just to collect the, to collect the gas, there are baffle provisions there in the Upflow anaerobic sludge blanket reactor. These baffles acts like a barrier. The gas, when it moves up with this solid particles, they hit on this baffle, and the solid materials will drop down, and the gas escapes, and it is collected in the gas gap which is there, and it can be utilized later. So this is one technology. Again, in a similar fashion, it works, and then generate waste. To generate biogas from wastewater. Then is the anaerobic baffled reactor. This is again a modification of a USB reactor, I would say. And this is here, if you see this reactor, it's actually being used as a decentralized plant. Decentralized and centralized system, if you ask me, I'm sure everybody knows that, but just for people who are not aware of a decentralized system, I'll just say what is decentralized. When the treatment plant from different households are collected and then taken to a common point, and then if it is treated, that becomes a centralized system. And a decentralized system is one you can treat the wastewater at or near the source of generation, and you can reuse it. Now, this anaerobic baffled reactor, it is one of the popular decentralized system, which nowadays many apartments and many institutes they use this system, and this does not require a specific space. Even the uh, parking area, the underground parking area, can be used for installing these anaerobic baffled reactor. Again, this reactor, if you see, it also generates gas. Here again, this is divided into different compartments using the baffle. The wastewater which is let into will move across this slowly. They move across this baffle, and it starts degrading. Again, microorganisms which are there, they start degrading the uh, organic constituents which are present in wastewater, and converts into gas. And many places, like I told you, it is used as a decentralized plant. Wherever this is used as a decentralized plant below the parking area, which is, it's not even visible. So the water that is after treatment is then transferred to a constructed wetlands, I would say, where you have plants, and these plants, the water is fed through this constructed wetlands, where you have reeds and then specific type of plants which are there, like the phragmites and all. So there, these plants, the nitrates or the nitrogen which is there, nitrates or ammonia, that is consumed by these plants, as well as the rich microflora which is present at the roots, they also consume. So this anaerobic baffled reactor is used in combination with the constructed wetlands to give better treatment. So this is again another technology which can be used for biogas generation and the for the treatment of wastewater. So this is one of the third technology which I was talking about, the microbial fuel cells and microbial electrolysis cells. This is one technology which is coming up. So maybe almost 10-15 minutes back, I spoke about a technology, like there are a lot of research going on to have a technology which is self-sustainable. The energy that is generated is used to run the own system. So this is one technology which is very helpful. It works in such a way. Again, here you have it can be a single chambered or a double chambered cell. Now, if it is a single chamber, it is separated by a proton exchange membrane, and you have two chambers, anode chamber and a cathode chamber. The anode chamber, the electrodes are used. It's a bioelectrochemical device where the microorganisms are used in the anode chamber to treat the wastewater, and once during the process of degradation, they generate electrons and protons. The electrons are taken through the external circuit. It will reach the anode, and the protons cross this proton-electron membrane, and it reaches the cathode, where it gets reduced into water, where it meets electrons and gets reduced into water, and the external oxygen is given here in the cathode chamber. So during this process, the current is being generated. Again, bacteria is used as a source to convert wastewater into a form of energy, and this energy is converted in the form of current. Now, electrolysis cell is a slight modification where hydrogen is being generated, and For generating hydrogen, you need a small amount of external input in terms of DC current is required. So the microbial electrolysis cell works under anaerobic condition, and a small DC current is given to release or to enhance the formation of hydrogen. So yeah. So these three technologies, as I told you, again, they play a important role for generating energy from the wastewater. So I would conclude here saying like the wastewater treatment systems can also be a potential biorefinery, not only in terms of the biogas generation or the electricity generation. Lot other chemicals are being explored from wastewater. So this is one example. I've taken it from a reference. So where the wastewater biorefinery is portrayed in a manner. So you can see here like the how the sludge, again the sludge during treatment, and how it is converted into different forms of energy like carbon dioxide, electricity, heat, green gas, and then it is being utilized. And now people are, I mean, researchers also working on, though in India we don't have this separation between grey water and dark water. Again, in other countries, like there is separation between grey water, dark water, and even urine is being utilized as a source of energy for production of other value-added products. So I would stop here. Uh, uh, Thank you. Before I conclude, I again thank Dr. Gulshan Sharma for inviting me, and also ICSI for inviting me, and Mr. Anil for moderating this session. Thank you so much, sir. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Anil Manocha ji.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Yogalakshmi, for bringing the concept of waste to energy. As most of our participants will notice, that nothing is waste which is available in this universe. So today we talked about the concept of waste to energies, respective technologies. Anybody who is interested in technologies can definitely go back to these presentations and get more details and ask for clarification. We also talked about the treatment, importance of treating sewage and importance of treating waste from industry, from household and all those things. Dr. Yoga also brought the concept that about 67% of sewage is only treated and so much of sewage is still untreated. And she's from Punjab and she talked about the problem of crop waste, which is a big challenge to handle. So getting back into the basic process of technology, we are talking about circular economy. We bring the concepts of green emissions, reducing waste. How do we generate energy from waste? So if we try and start implementing these technologies one by one, we will again be able to reduce the gap between demand and supply, whether it is water, whether it is food, or whether it is energy. So we can generate fertilizers, we can generate energy, we can recycle water by using various type of concepts and various type of technologies. So message to my participants today is that there are systems, there are scientists who are working and developing various technologies and making it affordable so that we can work towards achieving sustainability, achieving the concepts of treating waste and everything. India is also moving fast towards it, and people who are trying to be gathering more knowledge on this, they can definitely get into the concepts, what is being implemented in Europe and especially the Nordic countries where this concept is very widely used and publicized. With this thought process at the end, I will leave it back to Dr. Gulshan, and we'll again connect this presentation with the last presentation where we talked about last mile connectivity. So if we can collect the waste and try to reuse it, we can do wonders. Over to you, Gulshanji, and thank you, doctor, for this nice presentation.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Anil.
sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yogalakshmi ji. We have done a wonderful, the presentation this evening. I'm grateful to Dr. Mittal. I'm also thankful to Dr. Praful. He had come the other day, your colleague from Odisha. You all are doing great job. I've got a small request to make to you before we wind up today's program, because a lot of people, those are joining us, they are youngsters, they are students also, they are teachers also, they are research scholars also, and at the same time there are some corporate people also, those are joining us on this water management series, and slowly and gradually our family size is increasing and they're very inquisitive to know. Now, Central University, which is located in Bathinda, are there any studies being done on the present crisis of water related issues of Punjab by Central University Bathinda? That is one part. Secondly, if there are any such programs, any such studies, then are they available on any web portal? If it is, then we can link them up with our audience, with our participants, so that they get to know a little more the hard work what you are putting in. The second last and the last slide which you had shown, the flow part and the complete chart and everything, it was, I would say, a layman like me who doesn't understand except drinking water and consuming water. I could also feel what exactly it is and how it is. Because rest technical things, I think sometime it goes above me. It's only Anilji who can consume, who can perceive very well. So we are very keen to know what all is being done, the good work by Central University Bathinda related to water management strategies, and a couple of other things. And also, there was a wonderful program which Dr. Mittalji had organized in month of February. And you had a lot of resource persons, those that come there. If those videos are available, we can share sometime with our participants, because people, those are interested to do something on water management, they will get insight how knowledge is to be shared, knowledge is to be taken to the universe, and it can be very helpful to all of us. I personally look at it from that point of view. Kindly look into it and share in future with us if it's possible. I'll put up a request to Dr. Mittal also. I'll speak to him. I'll discuss with him. So with these words, once again, my deep gratitude and thanks to the lady of the evening, Dr. Yoga Lakshmi ji and Shri Anil MANOCHA ji from Singapore. Dr. Yoga Lakshmi, you come from which part of India?
I am from Tamil Nadu, Chennai.
You're from Tamil Nadu, Chennai. Okay. So Tamil Nadu and Chennai is also going to have a lot of difficulties on the water like Bangalore. So
Very
I
true.
think a lot of studies we all have to do together on water management. And the other day somebody had come, which Anil Manocha ji had invited, and he gave a wonderful chronology. We cannot live without breath more than 1 minute. We cannot live without water beyond 1 week, and we cannot live without food beyond 1 month. That was, somebody had drawn the triangle the other day. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, let's save every drop of the water. It's a wonderful series. We want to bring in more in fold schools, colleges, universities, polytechnics, incubations, and startups, and what do you call that, entrepreneurship, everything related to water management. All of us, we should be together working on to it. Thank you very much. Namaskaram. And as far